So you guys had a shop in London, Ontario, not England, just to clarify. But we've never heard any stories about the shop in London. How do we even know it even exists? Like, could we get some backstory, some rundown, any cool things that you want to share with us? Because the people, they need to know. They need to know the history.
The history. Okay.
Woo!
The L dot. 192.
Not 192. It was 29.
No, 219 is Young Street.
192.
192. Come on, what's the address?
Oh, it was Dundas. Dundas. 19. It was 192.
192.
192 Dundas Street. I can't remember the major intersection, but right downtown.
Oh, Richmond and Dundas.
So funny that we got the same streets. All these cities in southern Ontario got the same major streets. A lot of them have a main street, Queen Street, King Street. But yeah, man, London, L dot. Is that what they call it? L dot?
The L dot? I don't know. That's what we would call it back then when we had the T dot. Or when T dot was referenced.
We have something new. Man. Well, first off, London was such a man. It was amazing. It was amazing because I loved the way we opened that shop.
Yeah.
Meaning the action we took. I love it because that's, as you know, that's the way I like to do things.
Crazy.
No planning, just did it. Oh man, that was so fun. The shop is not there anymore. And what year did we open? What year did we close? You remember?
We opened 2004.
And we closed 2007.
Yes,
that's what I thought. So around 3 years. 3 years of adventures.
Actually, 2008.
Was it that long?
Yeah, it was 2008. Yeah, 2004 to 2008.
Okay, first off, I'm gonna talk about why we went to London.
Okay,
and maybe you can brace me with some stories. So, this is about a year after we opened.
Yeah,
right. We opened here, so the shop was just a year old.
Not even to say it just opened. That was 2003, where we had just come out of getting shut down the December before, which was 2002, right. And the next
we had
next
moved
year,
to Victoria Street.
Yeah, Victoria. We moved there April.
A year later.
Not even a full year later. We started negotiating this deal in like September. Holy, this is the Kirk. He's like, just get it moving, man.
Okay, my brother-in-law at the time, Abdurrahim, rest in peace.
Yep.
He had a good friend that he grew up with that was doing business in London.
Beeps.
Beeps is doing business in London. He had an urban store.
That's right.
And Abdurrahim said to me, or Ron, as we called him, he said that his friend was in London and had this urban store, and he said there's lots of kids out there. Lots of kids, the store is doing good. And that whole market, his friend told him, hey, you know what, maybe your brother-in-law would be interested in opening a shop because there's no barbershop here, and the same kids that buy from me would get cuts from you. Because in my mind, like at the time, I was thinking London, barbershop, we're black, and I'm ignorant. I'm thinking, is there even black people in London? Like, who's gonna be coming to the shop get a haircut in London? Little did I know, there wasn't a lot of black people.
Yeah, there was a good amount.
But there's black people there, and not only was there enough, but I mean, other cultures are coming and getting the same haircuts that black people get.
Yeah,
I just didn't really realize how much, but at the time, I didn't care. I just thought of expansion, and I knew that was our plan in the beginning. And in my mind, I'm like, yeah, this seems right. I mean, let's just open a shop. We'll do another one in 6 months, and a year after that, we just keep going. So I believe the best way to learn is through action. So we just said, well, let's go look at London. Let's just drive out there. Let's just drive out there and take a look.
Oh my gosh.
Funny enough, we were in London before.
Yeah, I was going to say.
That's a whole other story. But before we even opened Onyx Barbers, originally, we did take a short trip to London to check it out because for whatever reason, we thought,
No, I think we mentioned this in podcast
We
number
did, we
episode 3.
Yeah, we
talked about this.
we thought that could be a place to open.
Yeah,
So maybe things move fast because this is the second time we were hearing about it.
right.
So we decided to go out there and check it out. And once we got there, I remember we realized we saw one shop. I can't remember what it was called.
Oh,
There's one shop there, but they had just closed down.
temporarily, actually.
Was
We're
it
gonna find
temporarily?
out, yeah.
They had just closed down, and they were the only barbershop, like real barbershop, in the whole city of London. So
I think he was on Adelaide.
was it? That's crazy.
Yeah, I think he was on Adelaide.
So they were the only shop.
Yeah, he was like East London.
Yes.
Yeah,
And they're the only shop, no other shop in the whole city, which was crazy.
Mm.
And we found out that if you wanted a haircut, a fade or whatever, you had to go. There was no shop to go to. You had to go to. I think it was only three guys. One was working in a salon
yeah,
because he did women's hair as well. He did
yeah.
both.
And he worked on movie sets. I remember
And I
that,
think
yeah.
the other two guys were cutting from their homes, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
So to us, we were like, shoot, it's a no-brainer. Let's just open a shop.
yeah.
Funny enough, we didn't even think about who's going to work in the shop.
Nope.
We just found out very quickly the cost of how much, like the cost to have a shop.
Yeah,
Picture this, downtown London, almost at the on the Young Street of London.
yeah,
It's the major street, walking distance to their major bus terminal. Every bus in the city drove by our window.
yeah.
And I think the place was, how big was it? 1,500 square feet?
Yeah, I think it was 1,600 square feet.
1,600 square
Yeah.
feet, and it was peanuts.
Yeah.
How much was the price?
I remember it
900
being
bucks?
like, no, it was like 1,200.
That's
12
after everything.
Yeah,
After the taxes.
that
and
taxes and
everything.
everything, it was like 1,200.
So just think about that, Demi. $1,200 to be in a 1,600 square foot space, right in the heart of downtown.
Across from McDonald's.
Exactly. So we thought, you know what? Even if this place doesn't even make any money, we could still pay for it from the income we're making from the other shop.
Yeah,
So we just started painting, man.
yeah.
We grab it. We start painting. We didn't even buy a sign. We painted the sign above the door.
Holy cow.
Called Rodney.
Yeah, Rodney.
Rodney came to help us paint. I know you still have footage. Of
Yeah.
that.
Oh, man. He was painting the squares and everything.
Yeah,
Oh,
we painted the floor. It was tiles. It was like it used to be a Irish bar or something.
yeah.
And they had like these
A
wicked
Celtic
tiles.
shop. That's
Celtic
what it
shop.
Yeah.
They had wicked tiles. So I don't want to talk about that too much, but we painted the floor, which might not have been the greatest idea, but we just wanted to look black and white.
Black and white.
Matched.
Yeah, matched our Toronto shop.
So I tell you what, the action that we took, I think was good, and at the speed that we took it, but we didn't plan on the whole branding aspect, and we didn't really think about. Well, I know I didn't think about when you have another store or a second shop. Is it a franchise or is it just another store with the same name?
Right.
Because the businesses turned out to be different.
Yeah.
Last thing I want to say before you say anything is what I thought was really cool and I loved is that we started working and I didn't even realize that it didn't clue into me that we need people to work here until one night we're painting and a guy just walked in.
Yeah.
A guy just walked in and we're like, we're not really open. Sorry. We're just getting it ready. And he introduced himself. He said he was a barber. And we're like, okay, you're hired. And that was Frenchie.
That's right.
Frenchie, shout out to Frenchie. I wonder what he's doing right now.
Yo.
Frenchie was our first barber that we got in that space. And man, I got stories about Frenchie. But Frenchie helped us. He taught us about London and kind of showed us what the city was like because he'd been out there for a while.
And he was a francophone.
Yeah, he was native. He was real Canadian. He was native and French.
Yeah.
Native and Haitian.
Haitian, yeah.
Yeah, and he was from Montreal. And he was out there. Also a friend of Beeb's.
Yep.
And yeah, man, shoot. So
Crazy with the design work.
great artist.
That was crazy.
Great artist.
So really,
He always had back problems though, but yeah, he's a touches the back, man.
oh my back.
So Noah, who else? Who else do you remember? Let's get to the barbers that used to work with us.
Barbers that used to work with us. So we have a good story with Ricky.
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 Pretty Ricky.
Pretty Ricky.
I'm gonna tell that story.
We got Ricky. Then we have Q.
Q. That's right.
Marika. She
Marika.
was the braider.
Someone else I remember was Jeremy.
Jeremy was there. Big up to Jeremy. I think he still got a shop out there.
Jeremy is still there.
Yeah.
Jeremy does have a shop. I wish I could remember the name. I had him on Instagram.
Yeah, Jeremy's out there. It's so crazy to see like on Instagram. He's got a family and everything. So, this is wicked.
Yeah, wife.
Love
kids,
it. Yeah,
everything.
this is dope.
It is crazy because when we met him, he was a teenager. I think he was a teenager.
He
when
was barely a teenager.
Yeah, when he started with us.
Holy cow!
But that honestly, I mean, oh shoot. Okay, Jeremy, Frenchie, Q, Ricky, and Ryan.
Chatham Ryan. I know we had to give people all these nicknames
Chatham
just to.
Yeah, those are the only guys I can remember. I feel like there was more.
Yeah,
that came in and out, but those are the only guys the main guys that I can remember.
There's that kid Shane. You probably met him later.
Yeah,
Shane came through.
Sorry, Shane, I can't even remember.
Shane came through, and then near the end of it, a couple other guys came through. Technically, because I was injured. That's another story. We had,
How'd you get injured? I don't remember. Like what happened?
That was crazy. We'll talk about that later on. But let's just so we opened up. We opened up, right?
Yeah.
And what was our first
Chucky was with us, remember?
Chucky came down.
Chucky came to help.
What's his name came down too? T-Bone. Didn't T-Bone come down?
He did. I can't remember if it was when we opened, but he did. Maybe
yeah,
he did.
T-Bone came there.
But the first day we opened, I think we did like 20.
We did a good amount of cuts.
A good amount of people.
We were busy.
First day. And I thought to myself, I said, this is wicked.
Yeah.
But everyone that came in let us know that they heard that a shop was coming.
Yeah.
And people were excited because there was no barbershop.
Yeah.
London, major city. And there was no real, like urban barbershop where I guess young people felt like they could come in and catch a vibe. But I gotta tell this pretty Ricky story, man. So
how did Ricky even get to the shop?
Honestly, I think he just wandered in one day and he said he's a barber. And back then we didn't vet people the way we do now. Like we learned a lot about how to figure out if a guy would work with us.
Yeah.
At the time, if you say you're a barber, we just say, okay. And
can you cut?
Come in and start cutting. And if it didn't work, then we fire you. We figured it out after. But Ricky came in. And Ricky was so cool, man. And the funny thing about Ricky was, I didn't know. I mean, I didn't know how old he was. I didn't know anything about him really.
Nothing.
All I knew is he's a black guy. He's saying cut hair.
Wait, so just so you could give everybody an understanding, we're still like early 20s when we're doing all of this.
Yeah.
So
we're like in our mid 20s.
Yeah.
So it
24 at the time.
Right.
23.
So looking back, prospectively. At the age he was, because we found out later how old he was.
Yeah, he was.
I didn't think he was much older than us, to be honest.
Bro.
The way he kind of moved and everything.
And he looked young.
Right.
Yeah.
So Ricky's working with us. I noticed he had some funny habits. He come in late a little bit. Sometimes he looked a little jittery. I didn't know what was happening. But, some cuts would look good.
Yeah.
Some cuts didn't look good.
Oh, man. There was that time when he was cutting he's cutting the librarian. I remember he was cutting the librarian. And, bro, he was scraping his ear every time he combed it. And the guy looks back. He's like, yeah, what's going on here? You can't stop. You can't rake my ear. He's like, what's the matter? That's how you comb your hair.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, yo, Ricky, you can't comb his ear. And he's like, could you cut my ear, please? My gosh. That was nuts.
One day Ricky comes in the shop. Jittery as ever, right? He runs in, and we had like a little couch towards the back. And I remember he just beelined for the couch. Came in, sat in the back, and didn't say much. So I think I was already cutting, and we're kind of getting ready. And then he's fidgety looking around. I'm wondering if he's going to get up and start cutting or whatever. And then he just said, oh, man, I had a crazy morning, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. Supposedly he had an argument with his girlfriend. So I'm like, whatever, regular stuff. he gets up and he starts cutting, and then these 2 police officers walk in. So I'm like, okay, I don't know if they want a haircut or what's happening. And they walk over. I go, who's they look around. They kind of look at everybody.
Yeah.
And then they say, well, who's in charge or manager? I said, well, I am. They walk over to me and they go, so how's everything going? I go, everything's great.
So you think?
Great. They go, so do you have a guy named Garth working here? I'm like, Garth? I go, oh,
Wrong place.
yeah, I'm happy. Yeah, you're in the wrong place. So Garth here. I'm glad to say it too. Like, nah.
Nope.
So see ya. No Garth. We don't got no Garth working here. He's okay. No Garth. No one named Garth. I'm like, no. We just got, the guys you see here.
Yeah.
Customers waiting. And I remember the cop paused. He looked around and goes, okay. Ricky sit on the couch with his head down. The cop turns and looks at Ricky, and he goes, come on, Garth. I'm like, what? What the hell? This guy just made me an accomplice or something? So the cop says, come on, Garth. And then Ricky gets up. He's like, come on, man. I'm like, what the frick? Instinctively, I jumped up. I go, officer, I did not know his name was Garth. I'm sorry. I did not know his name. See ya, Ricky. I did not know his name was Garth. I'm like, whatever. Turns out, him and his name was Garth.
Yeah.
And I found out his full name that day.
Yeah.
Turns out that little argument he said he had with his girlfriend, I don't know if they're both using drugs, but he must have, I guess, beat on her, allegedly. He allegedly beat her up. And the police came, they put him in handcuffs.
Oh.
And took him out. I'm like, damn. I don't think he worked with us after that.
No, he did. Did
he? Did he? He still came back?
He came back. We're a forgiving group.
Yeah. As I said, we were in our mid-20s.
We were in our mid-20s.
That wouldn't happen today. I'll tell you right now. Man would not be allowed back. You going out in cuffs, you ain't come back.
Oh, man.
But that was a pretty Ricky story that made me laugh. Tell the story about Q.
Which ones?
Q right now is a well-respected family man. He's a barber. What I love to see about Q, he is the owner of probably the biggest and best shop in London right now.
Yeah.
United Cuts.
United Cuts.
I hear good things about them. And one day I said I got to go back to London just to hail him up. And I love to see the fact that his son now cuts with him in the shop.
Get the hell out of here.
Yes. I was on their social media, and his son is cutting in the shop with him.
The little guy that used to come into the shop?
I love it.
Wow.
I love it. But there was a time,
bro,
when Q started cutting, he was just a customer at first.
Yeah, he was.
And I remember he was recently living in a town outside of London, and I think he just moved back. And I remember him saying to us that he had, cut a little bit. I think he was looking to make some money.
Yeah.
Or transition jobs. So we're like, sure. Come and cut. And, he cut a little bit. As a lot of barbers, he was learning as he's with us, learning more. But one thing I remember about Kwame was that one day when the customer sat in the chair and he started, prepping the customer. He's talking to him, all this kind of stuff.
I know exactly which one.
He's doing the consultation, spins him around, everything's looking good. And I'm cutting, I'm checking. I'm like, oh, yeah, Q's doing good. Next, I hear the clippers, they start moving, and the customer jumps up. He's like, hey, what are you doing? I look over, and he didn't even put the cape on. The customer had no cape. No cape was on the customer's neck, man. I was like, you got to put a cape on his neck. And Q tried to play it off. He's like brushing the hair off. And I never forget. He was like, oh man, I'm used to cutting at home, right? He's just, guys usually just take their shirt off. Oh my gosh. So, all those customers out there, I know Q's well respected, but everyone has their funny stories about when they
That was a
started
great one.
and some mistakes that they made. But that's one thing. My gosh, I never forget.
That was one. That
Okay.
was
Oh, my
hilarious.
Oh, geez, Frenchie. You know, I can't. I can. There's some stories about Frenchie, but I think legally, I don't think we're allowed to mention.
Yo, you know what's funny?
Stories.
So I think we jumped over some stuff, like even
Oh,
how we
gosh.
started going out there, like the schedules we were on. So we were both, Kirk and I were both, we were living downtown over there, John and King and John, and we're pretty close to Union Station, which had the the Via train that would go out there, and then also we weren't too far from the Greyhound bus, which you took the Greyhound. Like,
yes,
very often.
Yes, I remember. I didn't drive. I didn't have a vehicle that time.
Yeah.
So I took Greyhound, and it was easy. Take the Greyhound down there.
What'd you do? How did you?
We traded.
Yeah,
we
what
traded
we do?
weeks. We would go a week each.
Yeah.
So Lowell would go for a week, and stay out there. Then I would go for a week, and we figured. I don't know how long we thought we were gonna do that, but we figured this is how we gotta do it until things are up and running. And then I guess we would get a manager to take. As I said, we didn't really plan it, man. We just saw an opportunity. We opened the shop, and we said we're just gonna wing it and see how things go. But I love the fact that didn't stop us. We had a futon in the back that we slept on.
That's right.
So we just sleep on it. We slept in the shop. The Y was walking distance.
My goodness.
So we shower at the Y and clean up there. Well, I showered at the Y. I don't know how many places Lowell went to. But
whoa.
But yeah,
Scandals.
I showered at the Y and cleaned up and slept in the back.
Yeah, and that place was freezing in the.
Damn, it was.
It was freezing. Like, we're in the back of this. It felt like
It
I now know what these little tiny homes feel outside of them, because it was freezing.
Yeah, it was cold.
It was freezing in the back, and we would sleep on this futon that was in between, like, the parking lot of the building.
Yeah, it was like a little hallway.
Yeah.
And it connected to the restaurant beside the bar.
Oh,
The bar
man, it was like a
beside us.
dungeon back there. And, yeah, so we would be there. That was our sleep spot. And then, yeah, you go to the YMCA and freshen up. I won't lie, man. What I missed about London was, like, they had a lot of summer activities. Like, they had the Gus Macker tournament.
Yep.
Lots of like the Rib Fest, stuff like that. Like, they had their own little, like, culture of just outdoor stuff.
The longer we were out there too, I realized that
man.
it wasn't a crappy city. Like,
Yeah, it's dope.
You know, you coming from here, you have this kind of ignorant thought that everywhere else in Ontario just sucks.
Yeah.
But spending time out there, I realized that it's a city on its own. It had its own feeling, its own vibe.
Yeah.
People there that lived there and loved it there, and I liked being a part of that community. To be honest, looking back, if we had done it differently, I'm definitely sure that shop would still be there today.
Yeah.
Still be doing well.
Yeah.
Because in the 3-4 years that we were there, we weren't doing bad. I mean, the only reason we closed was we realized that our managerial skills weren't where they needed to be.
Yeah.
To be in charge and running a shop that was 2 hours away. And the shop started to take on like its own vibe.
Yeah.
That was different from, I think, what we wanted.
I mean, also, we got to remember that our lives kind of changed dramatically. So you were welcoming a child.
Yeah, our lives started to change.
Yeah.
I wasn't going out there anymore, period.
Yeah.
I mean, the last 2 years
Yeah.
or a year and a half that we had the shop there, I didn't go there at all. So we stopped trading weeks. Shoot, man. You know what? Anyone that knows Lowell knows that he makes friends easily. I am not that person. So Lowell, I'm sure, has a lot more stories than me when it comes to experiences out there. I know Lowell made friends out in London that he might even still keep in touch with today.
Oh man, I'm trying to remember this guy.
We met. Okay, you know what? Marika for example.
Yeah, Marika, she's cool.
Marika was 15, 16.
15 years old.
15
years
Marika
old.
was a 50-year-old, 16-year-old girl. She probably looks the same now,
She does.
to be honest. She was exactly the same. But she walked in, saying she was a braider, and she started working with us.
She was friends with Beebs' wife. That's right.
It seemed like everyone in that city knew each other.
Yeah.
She used to do Beebs' wife's hair.
Yeah.
And she also knew Frenchie.
Yeah.
And yeah, man. I mean, we first met her there, and then Marika turned into even working with us in the shop we're in now.
Yeah. Downtown.
For a while. She came and worked with us now. She lives here.
Ooh. Okay, so London has it's a predominantly white
Yes.
city.
Yeah.
Now
It's a university.
it's a university town for sure.
It's a university
That's
town.
definitely, and I still think it's got that
sure.
stigma.
For sure.
But
a lot of the parties, the things that go on, it's
Bro.
surrounded around the
The
university. It's
university.
like for those kids.
So there was a university party, a uni party when
Oh, you went to parties up?
they have tons of bars.
Okay.
Funny enough, tons of bars. I think tons of bars. So we go out, and I'm trying to remember if this guy's name was Alex. But anyways, we go out, and the parking lot overflowed.
Mm.
So then people started parking on the grass.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden, some lady was talking about how she needed to get out of there. But she was parked in. She was blocked in.
Mm.
So this guy, Alex, I'm going to say his name's Alex. Anyways, Alex looks at me. He goes, "You know what we're going to have to do?" And I go, "What?" He goes, "We're going to have to move her car." I was like, "Well, we don't have any keys." He's like, "We're going to pick up the car." I go, "What are you talking about?" He goes, I think we could do it. It's grass, and at least we could push it." And I'm looking at him, I'm like, "Bro, there's only two of us." And
Two of you?
and you know what this guy did? He started picking up the car.
Are you serious?
I swear to God, he started picking up the car.
But
So-
a bigger question is, did you help it?
So I'm looking at him, I'm like, "Bro, anything's possible." So I'm standing there, and we're both picking up. I think it was not a Pontiac, like a G6.
Oh, like a Sunfire or something?
Sunfire, yeah,
Okay.
that's the car.
Those little ones.
We're picking up a Sunfire, bro.
You know what? Now that you say that might be possible. Pontiac Sunfire.
We're
You're like,
picking up so now this thing, I could see the underbelly of the car, and I'm like, I can't believe I've lifted a car in my entire life. Like,
so you gotta get kind of bouncing it.
yeah, and we're picking up this car, and I'm thinking to myself, my spine is done.
I get it. I think I get it. I think, yeah. I
And
get
I'm
it.
like, the amount of alcohol that must have charged us was crazy. I was like, this is nuts. I couldn't believe it.
What was the name of that guy that owned the club out there? He owned he had a.
Steve?
Was it Steve?
Steve, I remember he was the promoter.
He was the
Steve,
major
yeah,
promoter.
promoter out there. Yeah,
He's the major
Steve.
promoter out there.
Something B? Big B? No.
Yeah, they called him something like that.
Yeah. It was dope.
Yeah, that was neat, man. I loved being a part of London, and honestly, I think about it all the time. I think about some of the people we met out there, and friends that we made, and I always thought, shoot, there should be an Onyx in London.
Yeah.
There should be an Onyx in London. I always thought we would return there to do something because I thought the city was good for it. Like, I think we were good for the city, and also the city was good for it. There's tons of students, even probably more ethnicity out there.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think we should return, man.
We should return. There's a lot of clients that actually came to Toronto.
Mhm.
They went to school out there
back then.
at Waterloo,
That
and then came back, and they were like, they're coming to the shop here in Toronto
Right.
because the shop in
I
London serviced
remember-
them well.
And you know what? I remember people saying that. I remember people coming in and telling us that, "Oh shoot, I've seen you guys in London,"
Yeah.
or "I've been to that shop,
Yeah.
or gotten a haircut," and vice versa. Being in London and kids that were from Toronto going to school out there.
Yeah.
And I remember one time I cut this kid, and he was saying to me that Paul was his barber,
Oh, yeah.
right? the great Paul.
He's,
Paul was.
I
his
remember
barber.
this.
And
I remember this.
And oh man, okay, yeah, something I did was he came and he sat in the chair, and he said Paul was a barber. Paul is a cousin of mine. He was cutting a Scarborough time, but I think now he's in Durham. But great barber. So when he said that Paul was his barber, and he's like, "Yeah, Paul told me you guys are out here," and already I'm feeling pressure, right?
Lots
So
of pressure, bro.
I think I still feel that today. If someone tells me that a barber that I respect is their regular barber,
Yeah,
I feel like, oh shoot, okay,
I gotta put
I
out.
gotta put the
You know what? You
Maybe
should
more.
feel like that.
yeah,
I
I
think
gotta put
that's
the
what's
because I know
normal.
this guy he knows what a good haircut is,
Yeah,
right?
great.
So
I
he
like
sat
that.
in the chair and he said, "Well, yeah, Paul gives me like a 1A," and in my head I'm like, "God damn, I don't have a 1A."
I don't. We didn't even know what a 1A was.
That 1A clip, I wasn't using it.
Yeah, we weren't even using it. It's still fairly new
And in
clip.
my head I'm like, okay, well, it's a 1, but it's a 1A. Those of you that don't know, a 1A is in between a 1 and a 1.5. So it actually is a separate length than a
Yes.
1.
Yeah,
It's different.
yeah.
And I gave this guy 1. Because I just wanted, I tried to play it off like I gave him a 1. He goes, oh shit, is this a, this a 1A? I'm like, yeah. Yes, a 1A. I go, I don't know, maybe the lighting is different here. He goes, I don't know, when Paul does it, it doesn't look like
Don't look that
It doesn't
short.
look like a 1A. I go, yeah. It's a different 1A. and you know what? It sounds small, but I'm telling you, in barbering, I felt bad, and I still think about that today.
Yeah,
I swear, still today, because it's one of the very few times. I must have done it another time, but it's the only time I can think of where I actually lied to a customer.
yeah.
I lied. I told him. I said I gave him a 1 because I was too afraid to say I didn't have that clip that you usually get. I didn't want to feel like I was less of a barber
Yeah.
than even though at that time I was
Oof.
than Paul. But yeah, I always felt bad about that. But London was very interesting, man. I mean, the customers were good. They definitely were majority white, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, not true.
Yeah, no.
No, because I mean later on it became more. I would say it's still about 60-40.
Yeah.
Yeah. But funny enough, there was a story that stood out for me when we were down there. And it was this perception about what voodoo is.
What?
Yeah. I remember we're always hearing about what voodoo is
Yeah.
and black magic and all this stuff, right?
You encountered voodoo out there?
It wasn't that. I got an understanding of it being real to the point that someone's life was affected by it. So here's the thing.
Oh damn. You maybe just sick of something.
Right? So we're cutting there, so there's a lot of people that are coming from actually Western is and London, Ontario actually has a lot of international
I
students.
thought you said voodoo.
Yeah.
I thought you said Western has voodoo.
Western has a lot of international students. So there's a lot of students coming from, especially in the Caribbean.
Okay.
Yeah, like the Bahamas for some reason has a lot of students going out there. And Western's a pretty dope school anyways.
Yeah.
So, but this guy was coming from Haiti.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Be careful.
yeah. So me being my regular self, we're talking about, stuff. And then I find out he's from Haiti. So obviously I posed a question. I said, bro, I hear a lot of stuff about like voodoo and all that stuff. Is this real? And he looked at me and he goes, yeah, it is real.
Shoot.
I said, what are you talking about? And he goes, I got a story for you. I go, what do you mean? He says, one day I'm walking down the street and I see this certain person on the street all the time. And then he said the next day he saw them and they had hooves like a goat. I said, what are you talking
What
about?
are we doing?
So I go, so this is where, because, we're Seventh-day Adventists. So I'm now like shook because this is.
He told you with a straight face he saw a man with
said,
hooves?
He said it's real. He said he sees it very often too. Like things people do, it's witchcraft. And witchcraft is a real thing. Spirits are real. So I was like, damn. And I go, so you're in this environment and nothing happens
This
to you?
in Haiti.
In Haiti, right? I go, wow. So I'm sitting there, but like I'm blown out of my mind. Actually, the whole shop is in bananas right now.
Yeah.
Because they're like, no. And everyone has their own story that they don't believe or it's not true, whatever. So I said to him, I go, how do you avoid? Like, How do you avoid it? He
Hell
says,
yeah.
He says, because I'm a Christian, and even crazier, he said he was a Seventh-day Adventist too.
Oh, shoot, okay.
He says, because I believe in Jesus, those things don't affect me. And that's when I was like really starting to understand the difference between the world that's out there and the world that I grew up in. Right? And it's so crazy because that shows you what you believe in is actually real.
Yeah. Yes.
You know what I mean? And it can protect you.
You know what's funny? I've always felt that. I haven't thought about why I felt that.
Mm.
Maybe it's because of just the way I was brought up and the faith I was brought up in.
Yeah.
But I always did believe in, because I got my stories. I've seen some things too.
Oh yeah,
I've seen
security
some
guard. This guy has security guard footage.
I've seen some things, like things. I know that there's certain things out there that people don't believe in.
Yeah.
Because they haven't experienced it. But
Yeah.
I've experienced some stuff. So I know there's things out there. But I've never been afraid of spirits, ghosts, demons, any of that stuff, because I've always had this feeling of, because it's there or exists, it doesn't mean it has to affect me.
You're right.
I never felt like it would ever affect me.
Mhm.
I never seen no hooves though. Jeez, that's different.
That
But
is different. But
I have always had that feeling, and it probably did spawn from the faith that we were raised in and grew up in.
yeah, so I'm telling you, man, when I heard that story, that literally changed my thought about how real your mind is.
Yeah.
And the thoughts that you put in are the thoughts that come out. And the actions that come out.
I got an up and down story.
So that was one. But I mean, what you got? You got a London story?
I got an up and down story. It's about a customer in London. You remember this guy?
All right,
I think his name was Fred. Black guy. Fred, remember Fred? Okay. This guy, he gave me a lesson in life,
Yeah,
and in watching what happened to him.
yeah,
So this dude, he comes in all the time, regular customer.
That's right.
He was a plumber.
yeah. He was a plumber.
And I think he just recently was like a fourth grade plumber. Like he started making good money
And working for the city.
and working for the city.
That's right.
So this guy making city. I'm not sure about his background. I think he was from. I don't know if he was from Toronto originally, but I remember he said he had family.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
He said he was in as a kid. He was in the Lloyd's. His picture is in
Yes.
Loyd's.
He was from here.
Yeah,
'Cause he
it's
said
in Loyd's. That's
picture
right.
of him when he was like 8 or 9 years old, getting a
Yeah.
haircut in Lloyd's is in the
That's
shop.
right. That's right.
So we would talk to him about Toronto history because he was older than us.
By the way, big up Lloyd's,
Big
one
up
of
Lloyd's.
the
original,
iconic original barbershops
original.
in Toronto.
Yes,
Canada.
We have to
by
have
the
one of
way.
those guys
Yeah,
in to talk to them one day.
definitely.
But so this guy, this is his story. Regular guy now living in London, work in a good profession, a good trade, making good money. He likes to gamble. So one day, this mofo comes to the shop, and he says how he hit the jackpot.
Yeah, he won the lottery.
He won the lottery, hit the jackpot. I'm like, oh shoot, like what? What happened? You want some money? How much you get, right? Because I think that day he gave a $50 tip.
Yep.
He paid. He gave $50. How much were we charging out there?
We were
At the
charging
time.
$15.
$15.
Yeah, for everything.
I can't remember if he gave a 50 and said keep the change, or he gave a $50 tip. But he was balling. So I'm thinking this guy won the millions. He says he went to the casino in London, and he said he was playing the toonie slots. And the second toonie, I remember, he said the second toonie he put in, he hit the jackpot.
Oh my goodness.
Ask me what the jackpot was.
500,000.
$80,000.
That's still
He
money.
came into the shop,
Still money.
and he's like, I'm done. I quit. I'm like, what?
Quit what?
His job.
You're like,
He quit. Man came in, told me story. He told his boss, like, get the hell out of here. I'm done with this. I'm like,
on 80
like, Fred,
beans?
you're a plumber.
You're kidding me.
Like you just won a year's lump sum pretty much, and you're gonna quit? You have a good job. Nah, man, I'm quitting. I'm going to my sister's place in Toronto, and this bing bang boop.
What?
And he's telling me, and I'm being happy for him because in my head I'm like, I don't think this is a good move. What do I know, right? Like, I'm not sure if this is a good move. And he didn't strike me as a guy who had, I don't know what issues he had or whatever going on,
Wow.
but he took off.
80?
He won 80,000 and he quit everything. And he said he's going to be good.
But wasn't he making 80 at least?
That's what I'm saying. Like, he was probably making less than that, but Anyway,
Oh man.
he goes to Toronto. And I can't remember how long it had been since we saw him, but he came back. I can't remember if it was months, maybe months, something.
Maybe a week.
But his story, life is interesting. His story took a turn when he came back, and he said to me, so I remember talking to him what happened, what's going on, because he didn't drop below 50 when he came back next to him. He didn't drop a 50. And he said, oh, man. He said, I went to Toronto, and he said, first weekend, I spent 15 grand.
Oh,
I'm
what?
like, what? He said, weed, coke, partying.
Oh, man.
He said he furnished his sister's house. And I'm like sweating when he's telling me his story.
Man, you can spend 15 grand at Leon's in a sec.
And he said, even back then. So he said he just started like blowing the money. And he said he was down to his last $5,000.
What?
Yes, he got down to his last $5,000. So this is 20 years ago. The man had 80 grand, blew 75, has no job. And Fred, I hope he gets to hear this today, because God is so interesting. So he's telling me all this to say that, but I didn't lose it all. He said what happened was I was down to my last $5 grand, and I met this guy. I think he said he met him at the airport.
I hope this guy's up.
Met a black guy.
Yeah.
And he said the guy was going to Africa. And he said, well, like, what are you into or whatever? And that guy was a diamond like seller.
Yeah.
So or other jewels, I don't know. But he would go to Africa, I can't remember the country, and he would buy diamonds and then bring them back to Canada and sell them.
Mm-hmm.
And he said something just kind of went off in his head, and Fred said, shoot, maybe I could do it. Like, how much is diamond? The guy's like, well, you could spend $2,000, buy a diamond, come back and sell it for like $10,000.
Right.
So he's like, wow. And he said that's what he did. He just went. He took the trip, went. I think he bought one stone, came back, flipped it, and then he just went back and forth, started doing that. So I didn't know. Today, Fred might still be a diamond jeweler. I hope he's up and doing well. But it was crazy that he had that windfall. He thought it was going to be something else. It didn't turn out to that. He blew it.
Oh.
But then when he was at his lowest,
Yeah.
about to lose everything, God put that opportunity in front of him. He acted on it, and he said it actually saved him. And he said, I'm making good money again now.
Yeah.
He said he's pretty much making a little bit more than he was before as a plumber.
Good.
So I think maybe his pride, I think he did. Cause I said to him, why don't you just go back to being a plumber?
Yeah.
And maybe the pride thing, maybe he burned that bridge. I don't even know.
Bro, yeah, you told your boss kick rocks.
Never burn a bridge.
Talking about on
Never
80.
burn it. Yeah, you never know what's going to happen. So that's funny, man. And that's a beautiful
Kirk in a weekend. Holy smokes.
He said, just weed, coke. Well, you never know what life's gonna put in front of you. I love that about barbering. I love that no matter where we are, the customers, they give us lessons. Nowadays, I feel like the thing that makes me feel a little older now is I feel like I'm giving more lessons than I'm getting. When I was younger, I felt like I was really learning from everybody.
Yeah.
And learning from life experiences. But now, I'm noticing customers are asking me questions. They're like, hey, so what do you think about whatever? Or what was it like when this and that? And I'm like, what the hell are you asking me? Right? Because I still feel like a 21-year-old, kid cutting hair.
Good mindset, though.
But and I always
keep learning.
Forever 21. I always feel like that.
Yeah.
Even though I don't look it. But I'm still wrapping around, my brain is still wrapping around the fact that people look to me for advice and they think I'm an actual source of knowledge. That's
man.
This surprises me.
You are.
But I definitely felt that switch in which I feel like I'm giving more information than I'm getting.
Yeah.
And when I was younger, it was total opposite. Like people say I'm quiet now when I cut hair, but when I was younger, like I didn't say nothing. I was just soaking everything up, learning from people, mannerisms, how you talk to people. Okay, you can't do this. That's disrespectful. You say this when this happens. Like Barbara, you learn so much, right? Because you're around so many different people in an intimate way.
Yeah.
Like there's other professions out there where you're meeting a lot of people, but I can't picture another profession where we're meeting a lot of people and we're getting to know intimately a lot of people.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that look at you as like a close friend,
Mm-hmm.
and you might not be their friend. It's just that, but they see you more than they see their
For
friends.
friends, yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's natural to feel that way, and that's special, man.
You know what? I think it was.
There's people in London right now that remember you
Yeah.
and remember an experience you gave them, whatever. I've cut people that have told me they went to that shop when they were a kid,
Yeah.
and they might be living here now or whatever.
So, Demi, you want to hear it? Okay, fine. So,
Oh shoot!
what happened
Is
now?
this the chicken story? Remember that girl made you chicken? Is it that one?
No, this was the time when I was trying to get my basketball skills back on par. Now the thing is, what's crazy is that these guys would always come into the shop talking about how good they were at ball, and we'd really never have a chance to settle the score. So then
we obviously didn't respect it because we're like, you're in London. What are you talking about? You guys can't.
This is the thing. Now, there's schools out there. Beale.
Every city has their powerhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Theirs was Beale.
Beale. I think there's another school out there, but Beale was a pretty
High
good
school,
school. Yeah. And if you were in the championship the year before,
The thing that's not respected about these cities is that even though every city in Ontario has their powerhouse, it's the same school that you see. They're the powerhouse because they're an offset.
all the years. Yeah.
So from London, you're gonna see Beale every year.
Yeah.
If you're in Niagara Falls, you're gonna see A&N Meyer every year.
Hamilton's Cathedral.
Right. So if you're from Toronto, you're like, whatever. How good can you be? Like you're just one good school.
Yeah.
Right. But they might actually be.
They got some schools because we played. So after the years, they opened up a Caribbean restaurant next door.
Yes.
With this guy and Dave, I'll never forget Dave, dope guy. Him and his family, they bought the building and they opened a Caribbean restaurant. And we were playing in a men's league down there. And the men's league, for some reason, there's like this core group of white guys that have been playing ball from university years.
They kick your ass.
And they kicked this pure slaughtering. I felt like freaking turkey.
Can't believe it.
And I couldn't believe it. But I didn't get to really play because they didn't know if I could play. They're just sitting there thinking, "Oh, yeah, you're from Toronto, but we're from London." So I went in for like a brief second. I dropped like when I say a second, I'm talking like maybe 5 minutes.
You didn't get no time?
They didn't give me any time because they didn't believe. So I'm sitting there thinking to myself, "Are you guys out of your mind? Do you know what capabilities I have?" So we get back to the shop. We're talking smack. And we go to another run where it's just dropping. And Q and these guys are talking smack. I said, let me just show you. Oh, there's the Indian kid that was a friend of his.
I can't remember. I know you're talking about.
Okay, anyway.
I can't remember his name. I know you're talking
And I'm like, let's play. Let's just play. So we're playing. I'm telling you, these guys, it was like Niagara Falls. I was wetting these guys up like crazy. And then they're like, "Oh my God, you're actually good." I'm like, "I'm only shooting. That's all I do. I'm a shooting star from Scarborough. Like, what do you want? I'm capable, my friend." And so we're talking. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, "Okay, let's end this. Let's just put a date to like a one-on-one, whatever." So I said, "Let me start training."
Yeah. Because you're going to show them, right?
Like, I'm going to show them, man. So I go down to the store. I buy my P. Miller shorts. Mm-hmm. I buy a pair of Reebok pumps, brand new.
Oh, shoot, the pump.
Nike socks. And because now I'm out in London more often, I said, let me just So I had to go to the YMCA. So I'm running to the YMCA. And I'm jogging. I'm high-stepping it.
Okay.
And I'm looking at
down
that street. Yeah. Getting down the street.
Running his stride. Like a gazelle. Yeah, go on.
So I turned on the corner for the YMCA, and I see these two school buses.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, if I don't get in before these school buses let these kids out, I'm going to be waiting in line. It's going to ruin my whole morning routine. I'm not going to be able to get my shots in or whatever.
So then you pick up the speed.
So I pick up the speed and start running.
Okay.
And I decided I was going to jump over the bike rack.
Yeah, that's nothing.
So as I'm about to launch over this bike rack,
Yeah, that's
I
common.
don't know what happened.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, wham!
Well, you got hit by the bus.
I wake up.
You got hit by a car.
I wake up, and my leg is wrapped around my back, and I hear a whole bunch of kids laughing.
What
like
motorcycle?
crazy.
What hit you? What happened?
I'm like, what the hell? My knee just gave out, man.
What?
And I'm here, I'm like, what the hell? And I hit the bike rack.
So
Whammo.
nothing hit you or
Nothing.
nothing ran you over.
Nothing.
Raccoon didn't jump out.
Nothing.
You just blew out your knee by
Blew out
itself.
my knee, man. I was so cheesed, Joe. There's 2 school buses full of kids laughing. See this black man on the pavement wrapped up.
You're in your 20s, right?
Man, yeah.
Oh,
I was like, this is crazy.
oh my god!
So it all of a
the
sudden-
story was going somewhere else.
I was like,
This man injured himself by himself.
oh my gosh. So I'm sitting there on the floor and I'm looking at my kneecap, and my kneecap's in my thigh.
Oh,
And I just took out my Onyx barber rag. Big up the Onyx barber rag. You know, everybody needs to get a Onyx barber rag because those come in handy for every
get your
reason.
rags for free.
But I put the rag, I pushed my kneecap down into my
Oh.
knee, back into the socket,
Yeah.
and then I just put the rag over my knee so I wouldn't look at it. Or I looked, because I didn't want anybody else to see this.
Yeah.
Because I was like, yo, I have to be back up like tomorrow. So then they came out, the YMCA people came out, and they're looking, they're like, what happened? And I go, I
So
took
the
a little
bus hit me.
slip. But it's kind of hard to hear because the kids are still freaking laughing.
Oh man.
Think about it, there's like maybe about 100 kids going for like their daycare or their summer program, and I'm like, this is crazy.
The good thing about that story, maybe they thought you were from London. That's not so cool. Because that you don't want people knowing you're from Scarborough.
And I'm thinking to myself, wow. And I waited. All of a sudden, I'm like, there's an ambulance station right next door.
Mm.
And I'm laying on that ground for like half an hour. And like 4 ambulances came and left. And then I was like,
So that turned into that was your first knee injury. That was the
First
first
knee
time you had to
injury,
have
yeah.
surgery on your knee.
first knee injury. And that's what technically started the down.
reputation?
No, not for us not even being in London anymore because I'm not able to be there.
Yeah.
And we, like you said, we didn't work on our managerial skills, so we didn't really.
So that's what sparked us asking Q to be the manager and kind of take over.
Frenchie.
Was it Frenchie?
Frenchie.
Oh, I didn't remember that.
Yeah, Frenchie. We asked
Man,
Frenchie.
no wonder things went down.
Yeah.
Sorry,
We asked
Frenchie.
and then Q definitely wanted to pick up the reins,
Yeah.
but he was still fairly. He wasn't as experienced barber as he is now, obviously.
Yeah.
So it was hard for him to handle volume because we still did our $7 Tuesdays out there,
That's right.
and it was
I
packed.
got busy.
Yeah,
Right,
so
Tuesdays got busy.
we're used to doing like 30, 35 haircuts
Oh, like minimum.
on a Tuesday, and these guys are like 10, and we're
10.
like, what?
Yeah.
So things started to go down because of that, and we started to recognize our faults, which is good to know. Like, you have to go through adversity. You have to fail sometimes in
Yeah.
order to make comebacks. So I'm glad we're gonna make a comeback.
We're going to make a comeback. That was, I know there's definitely, as I realized, some stories that Lowell probably will not partake in.
Yeah.
But we definitely will make a comeback. Grand opening, grand closing,
And then grand opening again.
and grand opening again.
Yeah, it's good, but we chose to focus on Toronto. I think we've done that significantly, and now that we're going to reopen in a couple other spots of this city, I think that I know that all those lessons that we've learned from London.
Oh, for sure. It's been a long
That's
time,
helped,
but
yeah.
the formula, we know it needs to be done.
Yeah.
How to duplicate something now.
Yeah.
And so the branding stays the same.
It's definitely dope. Lots of experiences. London, man. Wow.